Auto manufacturers and car dealers and their employees are waiting to see how all this plays out. We watched the president's announcement with Don Herring, who owns Don Herring Mitsubishi dealerships in both Irving and Plano. He's also the chairman of the North Texas Automobile Dealers Association. He has a total of about 80 employees at both locations, and we asked him for his reaction to the news.
Well, as I told you before it started, I was hoping that he would come out and announce that he'd made a deal, and it was the best trade deal in the history of deals, and the tariffs would not be necessary, and that we just keep on rolling. As you know, he came out and said there will be a 25% tariff starting tonight. So I was a little disappointed with that. He mentioned reciprocal tariffs, and I think that he's still trying to negotiate those deals with different countries, and so that will be ongoing. As far as we're concerned, Mitsubishi has a 100-day supply of cars.
And so what does that mean?
That means if we can get a trade deal between Japan and Donald Trump in the next 100 days, Mitsubishi should be able to just keep rolling without any hiccups.
And when you say they have a 100-day supply of cars, those are vehicles already in the United States?
In the United States, pre-tariff.
And so I know this only really came out a week or so ago, but have you been able to, were you trying to get more cars in here, or does it not matter because they're already here?
When we first heard about this, Mitsubishi sent us out a letter saying it could impact the MSRP of the vehicles because that's too large of a tariff for Mitsubishi to be able to absorb. We started looking, and we've been expanding our used car operations anyway. So we are working on trying to get our used car operations to the point to where new cars will be icing on the cake. So I'm hoping that the trade agreement between the United States and Japan gets worked out in the next 100 days, and we can keep selling new cars at the same rate we are now, or even a higher rate as we can grow. But if that does not happen, we are committed to a vision of we're going to sell used cars, we're going to keep selling cars, parts, and service, and serving the community.
And so let me go back and ask you, as far as that 100-day supply of vehicles, the tariff is not going to be applied to those vehicles already shipped to the United States.
That is correct. They're already on the ground in the U.S., in port. So for the next a little over 3 months, Mitsubishi will keep doing business as normal.
So given all that, and given what you just said about looking to expand your used car business so that new cars could be icing on the cake, what does that mean in terms of sales? Where are you now as far as used car sales at your dealerships versus where you will be under this plan if the tariffs remain in place?
Used car sales right now, we sold about 40 out of this location, about 30 out of the location in Plano. So it's not necessarily doubling or tripling. It's in this store, what is that, about a 20% increase, and then the Plano store, it's a little more than that. So it's a very achievable goal to get to. And I'm confident that we can do that even if used car prices go up. And I think from what we saw at auction, I mentioned to you earlier that my buyer who went to auction yesterday said a lot of people were paying $2,000 over book for used cars at auction. They're anticipating that if these tariffs go into place, used car values will go up because it creates more demand for used cars as the prices of the new cars are pushed up.
Right, so let's talk a little bit about that, because a 25% tariff, well, first of all, let's establish this fact. All of your Mitsubishis are made outside of the United States.
That's a fact.
And so if, in fact, Mitsubishi goes through this 100-day supply you spoke about, and then the vehicles after that coming into your dealership and other dealerships across the country will have that 25% tariff on it. So what will that do to prices and, as a result, to your sales?
Mitsubishi said they'd have to increase the prices. They did not tell us how much. But to give you an idea, on a $40,000 car, which is fairly common with Mitsubishi on a nice Outlander SEL, that's a $10,000 tariff. Well, they're not going to absorb $10,000. So does that $40,000 car become a $50,000 car? Does Mitsubishi absorb $1,000 of it? It becomes a $49,000 car. Either way, it should be a fairly large hit or increase on the MSRP, which will be a hit to demand on those vehicles.
But again, you don't have to worry about that right now.
Don't have to worry about that now. We're good for 100 days.
And as far as the used car business, that's why you're saying, because the new cars, if this is long term, will go up in price. That's why more people, you believe, will look at the used car.
We think there'll be increased demand on used cars, as we saw previously when there was a used car shortage. So all those text, emails, and direct mail pieces wanting to buy your car, you're going to see them again.
Good to know. And then, and then as far as employees, what has your message been to employees, and what is their level of concern about how this will impact your business and potentially them?
We've been very transparent. When we had our managers meetings last week in both this store and the Plano store, I shared the communication with Mitsubishi on what Mitsubishi was looking at so that they all knew exactly where Mitsubishi was. And I also shared our vision to continue to focus on growing that used car business so that new cars could just be the icing on the cake. And as long as the new car's the icing on the cake, we'll be good no matter what happens. Still hoping that Donald Trump and Japan come to some terms.
And my last question to you is, if you had a chance to speak with the president, what would your message be?
Well, I think I would encourage the president to try to come to terms quickly before people are hurt, before there's actually manufacturers are laying off employees, before car dealerships are having to make hard decisions. Let's go ahead and get this deal made and get this deal finalized so that we can keep America going.